And then the Jivatma is not the original cause. And then the next is Bhagavan. The word Bhagavan is there. That means Bhagavan means one who possesses all the six opulences to the complete degree. Wealth, knowledge, beauty, renunciation, influence. So you are possessing all the bhaga, all the opulences completely, but whereas the Jivatma is actually without those opulences. So that is the eighth difference. And the ninth difference is that Tradisha, three Adisha means you are the master of the three gunas, whereas Jivatma is controlled by those gunas. And then 10th difference is that Yad Buddhi Avastitam. Yad Buddhi Avastitam Akanditaya. You have a stable intelligence. Whereas Jivatma's intelligence is subject to the conditions of Jagruti, Swapna, and Sushupti. Based on the conditions of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, Jivatma's intelligence also undergoes changes, whereas you have a stable intelligence. This is the 10th difference. Yadbud yavastitam akanditaya swadrishtya. And then the 11th difference is that swadrishtya. You are the continuous witness by your indestructible Chit Shakti. Yadbud yavastitam akanditaya swadrishtya. By your Chit Shakti, you are the continuous witness. Whereas the Jivatma has a disrupted vision because his intelligence undergoes the states of Jagruti, Swapna, and Sushupti. And then the 12th difference is that Yadbud yavastitam akanditaya swadrishtya drashta sthita vadimako. Drashta sthita. That means you are situated in the action to maintain the universe. Whereas the Jivatma cannot even maintain himself. Therefore, the Upanishads say that Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The one Nitya, the Supreme Lord, is maintaining the innumerable Nityas. And the 13th difference is that Adimaka. Adimaka means presiding over the sacrifices. You are presiding over the sacrifices, whereas the Jivatma is a dependent on the sacrifices. So in this shloka, Dhruva Maharaj is giving the differences between the Jivatma and the Supreme Lord. So we see in the Shastra, the oneness between the Jivatma and the Supreme Lord are described, and the difference between Jivatma and the Supreme Lord are also described. So the Advaitavadis, they only take those statements which talk about the oneness of the Jivatma and the Supreme Lord. And those statements which talk about the difference between the Jivatma and the Supreme Lord, they say that these statements are applicable only in the Vyavaharika world, but they are not true in the Paramarthika realm. In the realm of transcendence, these statements which talk about the differences are not true. Like that, they give an interpretation. But actually, that is a concocted interpretation. Shastras talk about the oneness as well as the difference. So when we hear about the oneness of the Jivatma and the Supreme Lord, then just like, for example, in this world, when you meet a person who has studied in the same school, or who is from the same village, or who is from the same locality, or who speaks the same language, we feel a sense of belonging to that person. We immediately want to develop a relation with the person, like that. And then when the Shastras, similarly, when we hear the oneness of the Jivatma, the Supreme Lord, then we feel a sense of closeness with the Supreme Lord. The Jivatma is also Sachitananda, Bhagavan is also Sachitananda. Jivatma is spiritual, Bhagavan is also spiritual. So when we hear that oneness, we feel a sense of closeness to the Supreme Lord. So there is a form of intimacy which gets developed when we hear about the oneness. And then when we hear the difference between the Jivatma, the Supreme Lord, like in this shloka, so many differences are mentioned. So the differences, they give us a sense of reverence toward the Supreme Lord. We feel a sense of reverence. Oh, the Jivatma is the knower of only his body, but Bhagavan is all-knowing. Jivatma is in a contaminated state, but Bhagavan is in a pure state. Jivatma is bound in this world, but Bhagavan is eternally liberated. So when we hear such differences between the Jivatma and the Supreme Lord, we feel a sense of reverence toward the Supreme Lord. So I must render service to that Bhagavan. So therefore, the complete knowledge is that when you know the oneness and the difference, there's a simultaneous oneness between the Jivatma and the Supreme Lord and also a difference. That is called as Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. Inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference. It's like, for example, like in this world also, suppose if I speak only about the oneness, if I don't speak about the difference, it can create so much of confusion. For example, if I take a political field, in the political field, say suppose there are different leaders in India. Rahul Gandhi, Narendra Modi, Arvind Kejriwal, like that different leaders are there. So if I say that if I only speak about the oneness, Rahul Gandhi has two eyes, Narendra Modi has two eyes, Arvind Kejriwal has two eyes. All of them have two legs, all of them has 2 ears, all of them are human beings, all of them are males. Like that, if I just speak about the oneness and then say that, so therefore, there are so many commonalities between them. So therefore, you can vote for any one of them. It's all same. So in that way, if I just speak only about the oneness, whatever I am speaking is true only. But then, if I speak only about the oneness, and then if I say that okay, all are actually they are all these personalities have so many commonalities. Therefore, you can support any one of them. It's all same. So, but this is like saying that when I say like this, then somebody who is well versed in the political field, he will immediately oppose. How can you say that all these leaders are same? Then he will come up with so many differences between them. He will talk about the difference between say Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi, the difference between Narendra Modi and Arvind Kejriwal. Either somebody who is well versed in the political field, he will come up with some 50 differences between them. And then he will say, how can you say when so many differences are there, how can you say they all are same? So therefore, or suppose in the investment field, there are hundreds of investment schemes are there. Suppose if somebody says that all these investment schemes are same only, you are putting money and you will get something in return. And that one speaks about the oneness of the investment schemes. But if it doesn't, therefore you can invest on any of the investment scheme, it's all same. If somebody says like that, somebody who is into the field of investments, he will get so much of offended. How can you say that all these schemes are same? And then he will come up with so many differences with the different schemes. How this scheme has a greater security, but it may have less return. How this company, although they appear to be promising so much, but actually it is highly risky to invest in that. So one will come up with many differences also. So therefore, in the spiritual field, if somebody says that all paths are same, all gods are same, or Jivatma and Paramatma are ultimately same. If somebody says that, so therefore Jivatma, Paramatma are same, so therefore Manava Seva is equal to Madhava Seva, because the human being is same as Bhagavan, Jivatma is same as Bhagavan, therefore Manava Seva is equal to Madhava Seva. Because all gods are same, you can worship any god, ultimately you will get the same result, because all paths lead to the same goal. But so when somebody speaks like that, when he speaks about the oneness, then most people will not object, because most people, they have not gone deep into the spiritual field. They have not read the Shastra, which talks about the differences between the Jivatma and the Bhagavan, like this particular shloka. When so many 13 differences are mentioned between the Jivatma and the Bhagavan, and if you say that Jivatma is same as Bhagavan, therefore Manava Seva is equal to Madhava Seva. So somebody who is not conversant to the Shastra, he may not object at all. Just like somebody who is not conversant with the Indian politics, he may not object when somebody says that, oh, Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi both are same, you can support any of them. So somebody who is not conversant with the Indian politics will not object at all. So similarly, somebody who is not conversant to the Shastra will not object when you say that Manava Seva is equal to Madhava Seva, or all gods are same. But somebody who is actually conversant to the Shastra, when they hear that ultimately Jivatma is same as Bhagavan, Brahman, because of illusion we are thinking that, because of illusion we are in this bound state, but when we get liberated we become one with the Bhagavan. Or all gods are same. So therefore you can worship any god. So, but somebody who is conversant to the Shastra, who is conversant with the differences between the Jivatma and the Bhagavan, because the demigods are also Jivatmas. But the Bhagavan is he is endowed with all the six opulences completely, eternally. But the demigods are temporary posts, they are Jivatmas. But when you equate the demigod to the Supreme Lord, then it's such a grave mistake. So it is thousands of times a bigger mistake, thousands of times a bigger mistake than the mistake of, say, equating Rahul Gandhi with Narendra Modi, or than the mistake of equating some Maruti 800 car. Suppose somebody equates Maruti 800 car and the, say, Mercedes-Benz car. That may be a very big mistake from the point of view of a person who is into the automobile industry. But hundreds and thousands of times greater mistake is that when somebody equates the Jivatma with the Bhagavan in all respects. So therefore, Jivatma is qualitatively one with the Bhagavan. But quantitatively, Jivatma is infinitesimal, but Bhagavan is infinite. So quantitatively, there is so much of difference. So all those differences are spoken in the shloka. 13 differences are mentioned. Therefore, this is very important. The complete understanding is that when a person understands both the oneness and the difference. That is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. So I'll just go through Prabhupada's purport. So in an atheistic argument, again the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead states that if God, the Supreme Person, appears and disappears, and sleeps and awakens, then what is the difference between God and the Jivatma? So Dhruva Maharaj is carefully distinguishing the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from that of the living entities. He points out the following differences. So the Lord is eternally liberated. Whenever he appears, He is never entangled with the three modes of nature. Therefore, he is Tradisha. But the living entities are entangled with the three modes. So, and the Lord is Parishuddha. Isopanishad also says that. Shuddham apapa viddham. He is eternally in the pure state and sin cannot touch him. The contamination of the material world does not affect the Supreme Lord. Bhagavad Gita also, Arjuna says that Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram. Pavitram means he was eternally pure. And Pavitram Paramam Bhavam. That means Param Bhavan refers to his being always transcendently situated. Another difference is that the Lord and the living entity is always in darkness, even though a living entity may be in Sattva Guna, but still there are so many things which are unknown to him. But the Supreme Lord is Vedaham Samatitani Vartamanani Charjuna Bhavishyani Cha Bhutani Mamtu Vedana Karchana. Krishna says that I know the past, present, and future, but nobody knows me. So the Lord is not not part of the soul. He is the unchangeable supreme soul. Kutastha. The living entities are his parts and parcels. So the living entity is forced to appear in this world by his karma. But the Supreme Lord appears by his own will. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san. Prakritim swamadishtaya sambhavam atma mayaya. And then the living entity is within the time of past, present, and future. His life has a beginning, a birth, and the conditioned state, his life ends with death. But the Lord is Adi Purusha. That is in the Brahma Samhita, in each stanza we say that Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Vedanta also says, Vedanta Sutra begins, the Bhagavatam begins with the statement, Janmadyasya Yataha. That means everything is born from the Supreme Lord. He is the original cause. And the Lord is having all the six opulences. So, and his intelligence is not broken under any circumstances. He stands aloof, although he is the maintainer of the whole creation. So therefore, the living entities are meant to serve him by offering obeisances. For he is the rightful enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Aham hi sarvayagyanam bhokta cha prabhurevacha. Natumam abhijananti tatvenatas chavantite. Everyone should engage himself in the service of the Lord with his life, riches, and his intelligence and his words. In the Bhagavatam 10th canto, Krishna says that pranair arthair diya vacha shreya acharanam sada. Etava janma safalyam dehinam ihadehishu pranair arthair diya vacha shreya acharanam sada. So therefore, every living entity with his prana, life here, with his wealth, and with his intelligence, and with his words, he must render service to the Supreme Lord. And this is the original constitutional position of the living entities. So one should never compare the sleeping of an ordinary living entity to the sleeping of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the causal ocean. There is no stage at which the living entity can compare to the Supreme Person. So the Mayavadi philosophers, being unable to adjust to all this, come to the conclusion of impersonalism or voidism. The next shloka. Yasmin viruddhagatayo hyanisham patanti.
Yasmin viruddhagatayo hyanisham patanti.
Vidyadayo vividashaktaya anupurvyat.
Vidyadayo vividashaktaya anupurvyat.
Tad Brahma Vishwa Bhavamekamanaantamadyam.
तद्ब्रह्म विश्वभवमेकमनन्तमाद्यम्
आनन्दमात्रमविकारमहं प्रपद्ये
आनन्दमात्रम् अविकारम् अहं प्रपद्ये. Translation. My dear Lord, in your impersonal manifestation of Brahman, there are always two opposing elements, knowledge and ignorance. Your multi-energies are continually manifest, but the impersonal Brahman, which is undivided, original, changeless, unlimited and blissful, is the cause of material manifestation. Because you are the same impersonal Brahman, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
So Dhruva Maharaj in this shloka he describes the impersonal form of the Lord. So he says that Yasmin Viruddha Gatayo Kyanisham Patanti Vidyadayo Vividha Shaktaya Anupurvya. So Aham Prapadye, I surrender to the infinite Anantam, Adyam, the original Brahman, Ananda Matram, who is composed of bliss alone, Avikaram, who is unchanging, and the Vishwabhavam, who is the cause of the universe, and Yasmin Viruddha Gatayo, within which Viruddha Gatayo Kyanisham Patanti, within which are always seen successively various energies such as Vidya having contrary natures. Yasmin Viruddha Gatayo Kyanisham Patanti Vidyadayo Vividha Shaktaya Anupurvya. So within that Supreme Absolute are various contrary energies are seen. Various contrary energies are seen. Yasmin Viruddha Gatayo Kyanisham Patanti. So, having described the personal form of the Lord, Dhruva now describes the impersonal Brahman. So, I surrender to the unchangeable, avikaram, bliss alone, the Brahman, which is the greatness of the Lord, manifested by the Bhakti Mishra Jnana to those absorbed in Shantarasa, situated far from the Lord, who are incapable of accepting the various qualities of the eternally conscious Lord. So those who follow Bhakti Mishra Jnana, that means Jnana Marga primarily and Bhakti secondarily. Such people, they realize the impersonal Brahman. So such people, they are basically overwhelmed. They want to realize the impersonal Brahman aspect, and they don't have realization of the various qualities of the personality of God. So, although appearing to have no Shaktis, within the Brahman are always seen successively various Shaktis such as Vidya. Yasmin Viruddha Gatayo Kyanisham Patanti Vidyadayo Vividha Shaktaya Anupurvya. So, within Brahman are Anupurvya. There are various Shaktis are there, such as Vidya and Avidya. So, according to the amount of bhakti, the person will come close to the Supreme Lord. So, Vishwanath Chakravartipad says that depending on the degree of bhakti, that living entity will come that much close to the Supreme Lord. For example, those who practice Bhakti Mishra Jnana. In Bhakti Mishra Jnana, bhakti is present in a secondary way. Jnana is present more than bhakti. Bhakti is present in a small amount and jnana is present more. Such people cannot realize the variety of qualities in the Supreme Lord. So they cannot realize the varieties of qualities in the Supreme Lord. So to such people, the absolute truth appears as the impersonal Brahman. Appears as the impersonal Brahman possessing the Vidya Shakti. And then for those people who have a little more bhakti, the absolute truth appears as the Purusha. Purusha means Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, or Karanodakshai Vishnu. For those who possess more bhakti, you appear as the Purusha possessing Maya Shakti, the cause of the universe. And those people who have complete bhakti, that means who have pure bhakti, they realize the Bhagavan aspect of the Lord, possessing unlimited Shaktis. Possessing unlimited Shaktis, having all powers and sweetness. So those who have little bhakti, they realize the impersonal Brahman possessing only Vidya Shakti. Those who have more bhakti, they realize the three Purushas of the Lord. The three Purushas possess the Maya Shakti. And those who have pure bhakti, they realize the Bhagavan possessing unlimited Shaktis. So therefore, one who enters deeply in the Supreme Lord realizes the Supreme Lord as the ocean of grace. As the ocean of grace, surprise, arts, beauty, and pastimes. So such people, they see how the Lord has so many pastimes. He manifests newer and newer beauty, and is filled with amazing attributes and qualities. The example given, just like when a person sees a particular town from a distance, he cannot understand all the details of the town. They simply see an object in front. But when the same person comes closer to the town, then he starts seeing more details in the town. What trees are there, what plants are there, what buildings are there. And then when that person comes further close to the town, when he enters the town, then he sees even more details in the town. On entering the town, they realize that it is a place for enjoying with colorful ponds, roads, markets, intersections. He sees all the various facilities in the town. Or another example is that, suppose in a room, many varieties of foodstuffs are cooked and kept. The first person who enters the room, he is blindfolded and he enters the room. So when he blindfolded, he enters the room and he simply smells the different items in the room. And he gets some idea of what items are there. The second person, he is told to enter the room without blindfolded, but he is told not to eat anything. So this person gets even better understanding of the items present in the room, because he not only smells the fragrance, but he also sees the texture and the color of each of the padarthas. The third person who enters the room, he is allowed to eat the different objects, so he gets a complete understanding. So similarly, the preliminary understanding is the one realizes the Brahman feature. And the next level of understanding is the realizing the Paramatma feature. And the highest understanding is the realizing the Bhagavan feature. So, Ushna Chakotipat also quotes a shloka from the Shishupala Vada. Shishupala Vada is a kavya. In that, there is a description of Narada. Chayastvisham ityavadaritam pura tata shaririti vibhavita kritim Vibhur vibhaktavyam puman iti kramad amum narada ityabodhisaha. So Narada realized Krishna as a mass of light initially. And then he realized Krishna, and then he realized that it was a form with a body. Then he realized Krishna, then he recognized the various limbs and understood that this was a man. This is a shloka that how the Narada Initially, he saw that Krishna is a mass of light, and then he realized that there's a form is there. When he came close to Dwaraka, when he was coming close to Dwaraka, then how his realization of Krishna was increasing more. So, Vidyadayo Vivida Shaktaya Anupurvyat Yasmin Viruddha Gatayo. So, these Shaktis are contrary in nature. So, although there are opposites such as Vidya and Avidya, creation and destruction, being born and not being on, being inactive at the same time full of pastimes, being neutral at the same time being affectionate to the devotees. So the Lord has all these contrary nature. He has Vidya Shakti and Avidya Shakti. He is impartial to the whole universe. At the same time, he is affectionate to his devotees. He is Ajam, he is unborn. At the same time, he takes birth in this world. So many contrary qualities are there. So how can the Lord has so many contrary qualities? He can accommodate all the contrary qualities by his inconceivable potency. His Achintya Shakti accommodates all the contrary qualities. So, Yasmin Viruddha Gatayo Shanisham Patanti Vidyadayo Vivida Shaktaya Anupurvyat. So, because of the Achintya Shakti, all the contradictions are resolved in the absolute truth, because the Lord possesses Achintya Shakti. So, because of the Achintya Shakti, Krishna can be local. Krishna can have a localized form, but the same localized form, he can be all pervading. He can be all pervading. So, there are so many examples of this also. So, with this, we'll end here. Next week, we'll continue the last prayer is the 17th shloka, and then we'll continue. We'll see further ahead. Anybody has any questions?
So, Prabhuji, the first person blindfolded, what he comes and does in the room, you said?
He is simply allowed to smell, that's all.
Okay,
He
thank you.
simply goes and smells.
Okay, and so Brahman contains both Vidya and Avidya, you said, no? Prabhuji, you
Yes.
said like that? Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so Prabhuji, I could join late, so if you could send me recording whenever possible.
That's it. Anybody has any other questions or comments? Yeah. Thank you very much for your patient attention. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।